Welcome to Haunted Homebodies, where Halloween isn't just a day, it's a lifestyle. I'm Ashley.
And I'm Sarah, and we're your guides through the delightfully dark corners of comfort horror. Grab your slicker and your seashell crown.
It's time to find out. What are you waiting for? There was not enough spinning or feeling behind that, but
that is an intense scene. That
okay.
Is, like, so
do you know the background of it? I actually learned that.
I also did, but I feel like we should share with our listeners.
Well, okay. Do you remember the details? I'm usually like, do you know the backstory? And then I'm like, I kind of read something that I don't remember. Okay,
so it was like this is like such a 90s story because it was like a magazine contest. I do not remember what magazine because classic, we don't do enough research for this podcast. Except on the things we dive too deeply into. Anyway, it was a magazine contest that like some kid won, like some little boy won this contest to come direct a scene of the movie, which what?
Right.
How? Why? Who thought that was a good idea? But then like not only did he direct this single scene, but I think he like came up with the line or something.
Yeah, I from what I read, he was like, you're going to yell, what are you waiting for? And like put your arms out and spin in a circle. And Jennifer Love Hewitt was like, okay, this is what we're doing, really? And then it ended up being pretty much the most iconic scene in the movie. I would say the most memorable, the most talked about, the most made fun of, but in like the best way.
I understand it's iconic, but it also like stands out like crazy. It does not fit her character in that movie or like the mood in that moment. It really feels like a kid won a magazine contest and put it in.
It does. When you hear the explanation, you're like, oh, that explains it perfectly. But also, I am very thankful that it's there because it is one of the more interesting parts of the movie. It's so
I'm with
funny.
You. Yes.
It's so funny. I hadn't watched this movie for a while. Super fun. I think we all classify it as a silly summer slasher kind of movie. We're not there for great cinema or really exceptional acting. I was a little bit surprised, though, watching it, like sitting down and watching it. It was a bit more intense than I remember. I was like, is this kind of scary? Like, how did you feel rewatching this?
So, not a rewatch because I think that my shtick is that I haven't seen any of these classic old movies.
You hadn't? How did you make it this far without seeing this?
I don't know.
I thought it was mandatory.
So I went into this being like, I've probably seen this. This is going to look familiar. No, I have 100% never seen this movie.
Wow. Okay, so then what were your thoughts? First time watcher?
Mostly that I didn't understand why it was such a big deal.
Oh, that is a good talking point that we will get to later of like why
I do have some
so
thoughts
popular?
on why, but like if that movie came out today, I don't even think people would bother shredding it. I think it would be completely forgotten. I think it is an artifact of the time in which it came out.
Oh man. Well, for anyone who hasn't caught on by the title of this episode or a skillfully delivered line that I shouted at the beginning, we are talking about I Know What You Did Last Summer, which was released on October 17th, 1997. It is a slasher through and through, and a 90s slasher at that. It was very 90s. And it was rated 5.8 out of 10 on IMDb. It has a 49% critic rating, a 41% audience score. This may be the lowest that we have.
It is.
covered.
I went back and checked. It's our lowest.
Yeah. You wrote it right there. Yep. Honor of being our lowest scoring movie so far, probably by a landslide.
By far.
Yeah. Yeah. It's currently streaming on Netflix, at least at the time that we are recording this. And do you want to give us the little synopsis there?
Yeah, so the film centers on 4 teenage friends who are stalked by a hook-wielding killer 1 year after covering up a car accident in which they supposedly killed a man. It also draws inspiration from the urban legend known as the Hook. I love that like this is the top paragraph of Wikipedia, and they're like, let's just spoil the movie for you right
Yep.
at the top.
Yep.
Supposedly killed a man.
Spoiler alert. I mean, in their eyes, they for sure killed him twice.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, it's true. And I have thoughts on, we both had thoughts that we wrote down on
The
the
complete
fact
and
that they
utter
backtracked.
logic
Yeah,
of every decision that they make in this movie, pretty
yeah,
much.
it's true. It's true. Some other fun facts about this movie: it has the same writer as Scream, which just beautifully, perfectly written. Like Scream,
Yeah.
it was great. And this was, I think, his follow-up in terms of when it got made, but he wrote it before he
Okay.
wrote Scream. I think that's it. So everyone was like super disappointed when this came out. But that also, as we discussed in our Screen episode, makes the writer of this movie the creator of Dawson's Creek.
Right. This is Kevin Williamson, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
He's got range.
he's got skill. I'm not convinced it came out here.
Agreed. I think he has a lot of really interesting ideas, and sometimes they come together really nicely, and sometimes they just don't make a lot of sense. But by the same token, like this movie is rated low, but I would say fairly popular. Like they are rebooting it
Yeah.
and it's about to come out, and a lot of people I think are going to go see it. And I'm really curious to see how it is. I'm going to see it. We're going to see it. We're going to talk about it.
We're gonna see it. I know. And not only like is it popular enough that they're rebooting, I mean, what aren't they rebooting these days? But
Sure.
people still reference this. This is a
Yeah,
huge pop culture reference
for sure.
almost 30 years later. And
For
like
sure.
closer to, they parodied it on an episode of Dawson's Creek. Of course, the Boy Meets World episode that we talked about a few weeks ago is like basically I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Right.
There's aspects.
For
Scary
kids, yeah.
movie, like huge pop culture moment.
For sure. Yeah, it's super fascinating. So we're probably gonna rag on this movie a bit, which I think people are ready for. I don't think people are very protective of this film. I think part of why we
No.
like it is because we like to make fun of it. But
Yeah.
what was something that you actually liked? What was your favorite part of the movie?
And the cast made me smile instantly.
Yeah.
Like this is a like powerhouse of 90s heartthrobs. Ryan Phillippe, Sarah Michelle Gellar, Jennifer Love Hewitt, Freddie
Right.
Prinze Jr., Johnny Galecki is in it, Anne Heche is in it. Like
It's over the top.
amazing.
Yeah, really high quality cast. I totally agree. I think that's part of why it's so loved is because it has every 90s heartthrob, like you said, in
Yeah.
it. It's so good. I'm gonna pull a Sarah right now, and I'm gonna tell you that my favorite part of the movie is pretty much the end, the final,
Okay.
the final climax scene where she's basically we've revealed who the killer is. She's put that together, and she is trapped on a boat with him. Ray, her bumblebutt boyfriend, is like kind of trying to save her, but mostly she's just trying to get away from the killer on this boat. And on paper, I think that sounds so implausible to be interesting. It's such a small container, but I felt like the way that it was done was actually really fun and exciting. Not realistic, but I don't really care about that. No, but the ability to make this like cat and mouse chase scene
Yeah.
on a boat,
On a
I thought
boat.
was
A
so
small
interesting.
boat. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought that was really fun. I would love if somebody has mapped out the logistics of like I want a skeleton like drawing of that boat.
Ooh, like a
And like
floor plan and like
exactly. With all of these trap doors and the freezer full of bodies and everything. But I was actually surprised at how fun I found that scene. I really enjoyed it.
that was well done. Naturally, my favorite part of the movie, because I can't be a serious person even for like a second. My favorite scene in the movie was when Sarah Michelle Gellar woke up to find that the killer had just given her a kind of bad haircut in the middle of the night.
Especially when we find out who the killer is. Did he No. Okay, so we've talked around it enough. Like we can just say like the killer is the man that they thought that they killed. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
So, and there's more to the story and the motive, but the way that he acts, it's kind of like giving me Rusty Nail from Joyride vibes, like his persona and character, and then like the psychological depth and psychological warfare that is then, he's just like he's a fisherman. He's like an angry, grieving fisherman who's out for revenge. Rusty Nail, just a like lonely trucker. But then they're like sneaking off everywhere. They know everyone's like darkest secrets and deepest psychological wounds. Like the only way that that makes sense that he cut her hair is like knowing that she's vain. So he's like, you know what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make her look less cute there.
But like, okay, so here's also something like 100% that's what's happening. This is not a but. This is he does that and it's completely illogical because, okay, so another thing that he does is he just like scares the shit out of Ryan Phillippe. I like how we know none of the characters' names, only actors. He scares the shit out of Ryan Phillippe, and they're all like, "Oh my God, we have to be careful." And Ryan Phillippe goes, "If he wanted me dead, he would have killed me."
Right.
But then he later
kills him dead, very dead. Yep.
Say with Sarah Michelle Gellar, like why? I mean, I guess like if he just wanted to draw it out, but that's not what it felt like to me.
No, I think it was like how do we make this 90 minutes long?
How do we make this 90 minutes long, but like let the two main characters survive?
That's true. That's true. If we had killed off one more of them, then we probably could have filled in that space. I think because they also, for some reason, didn't. I think because this killer had a motive and they were trying to make his motive make sense. He wasn't just someone on a killing spree, but sort of. It was like they were walking that line between he's just a vicious, brutal murderer, which we both had comments about the Max murder, the rando, but he wasn't just killing like anyone and everyone. So it was clearly that he was targeting this one group. So I think a lot of slashers like Halloween or Scream, like they're kind of choosing like in Scream who they're killing, but they're just like, we're just getting a body count. You know what I mean?
Totally.
They're not
like
whereas in this they were making it seem like he had his list, and he was going to psychologically torment them and then kill them one by one.
Yeah. It's true. I don't know, but I just love that he psychologically tortured her by cutting her hair. It was glorious hair. She had some good hair.
She truly does. And then I like how in the next scene she's wearing this really 90s like motorcycle kind of cap. I don't think her haircut was so bad that she still couldn't have just like cut it short and pulled it back.
100% wasn't. And then like she's in the parade later and her hair looks fine. Like it's just shorter.
Yeah. It was definitely one of those scenes, kind of like the "What are you waiting for?" That whole middle part of the movie. Like sometimes they call the middle of a story like the muddle or like the muddy middle. This is definitely one of those where it's just like, what are we just don't really know where we're going. We're just kind of filling it in with these random scenes of basically women having emotional outbursts, and then Ryan Phillippe just being a dingus because his character in this movie sucks.
Oh my God, he's so terrible. Also, I was just reflecting, I've never seen him in a movie where he isn't a total asshole.
Oh, I don't know that I have either. He plays the part really well. So that wasn't really surprising. He definitely was worse than I remembered in terms of just being really abusive.
Terrible.
But one thing that surprised me more was the character of Ray. In my head, like, because it's Freddie Prinze Jr., it was just like, he's perfect. He's the perfect boyfriend. He's sweet. He's wholesome, blah, blah, blah. I thought he was terrible in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Ray is useless in like almost worse ways. I don't know if he's worse than, what is Ryan Phillippe's character's name?
Barry.
Is it Barry?
Barry.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think he is supposed to be the counter to Barry's like macho, hyper masculine, like I'm in charge and I'm drunk and spoiled, and Ray is like the scholarship kid who's like sweeter, but he's just as cute and could be just as successful, blah 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 blah. But he, oh man, let's talk about the go way back to the beginning. So they hit this man with a car.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So it's Barry's car. Barry is too drunk to drive. Ray drives. Barry's distracting him. Blah, blah, blah. A man is in the literal middle of the road. It's raining. They hit him. They think he's dead based on nothing. Kind of, right? He's not moving. So let's talk about, we've talked about this before, the complete utter breakdown of logic that occurs when someone thinks that they have harmed or killed another human being in a movie. This has got to be the pinnacle of let's make all of the wrong choices and then make them repeatedly.
And like, I know that Jennifer Love Hewitt is supposed to be like the audience stand-in of this is terrible, and she kind of stands up to them, but like it doesn't really. Like, it is for just graduated high school teenagers who are like, this is going to ruin my life, so I'm going to do the worst thing possible.
Right, right. And I don't remember if they address this or really exactly where we are in history, but they don't have cell phones, right? So one of them couldn't just pull their cell phone out and be like, whatever, I'm calling. I don't care if you you are making the wrong choice or whatever. But, she is obviously established to be, Julie is established to be guilt-ridden and troubled, right? And to the point where her mom thinks she's doing drugs.
Bangs in the world to really nail down that
Right,
point.
right. Yeah, that's like when you are depressed and have anxiety, you just have to have like bad bangs.
Stringy, oily bangs.
That is the giveaway. I mean, I can't really think of a counter argument in terms of how to establish that. But she had that whole year where she could have just come forward and just been like,
yes,
you know what? We made a huge mistake. I feel extremely guilty about it. This is what happened. I want that family to have closure. I know I'm going to be in big trouble, but here it is. It's hard to say because, I'll go on the record saying I've not ever killed anyone or injured anyone or been in this type of situation. So I think it's really easy to sit back and say, like, I would do the right thing. I mean, things like this do happen in real life. I actually just read about something really sad in Western Mass that happened where this is going to get kind of dark for a second. So sorry, but this is real life. There was a classic field drinking party. We grew up in like a rural area, so teens drinking excessively, I'm sure, and then the police were called, and so everyone is jumping in their cars just trying to get away from the police, and a kid got run over and was laying there like clinging to life, and they all were like, we're not going to, like, nobody called the police for 45 minutes.
Oh my god.
And he ended up going to the hospital and then passing away. So his family, I think it's his sister in particular, has been advocating for like people needing to be held accountable. Like there are laws now to protect good Samaritans, like people who try to help and end up either doing damage or not helping, enough. But now she's like, we need to have laws also for people who are just like doing the complete wrong thing and doing nothing when it's the easiest thing. They all had cell phones. They all were just standing there being like, well, we don't want to get in trouble. It's okay.
That's awful.
I know. Like, you just would hope. Like, we all have been in that teenage phase where you're making terrible decisions and your brain isn't fully developed, and maybe you've had some to drink or too much to drink, but like no one there.
That's like, so awful.
Yeah. So it's like, we say, oh, this is so unrealistic and so dumb, but it's like where is humanity when that happens in real life? And, that's not like an isolated incident, like, oh, this is the only time this has ever happened.
Yeah, it's a very good point. I do also appreciate, by the way, the deep dive that you did on their claim that they would be put to death if they were caught.
Yes.
If you would like to walk us through that.
I would. Because, okay, this is where my head's at. So Ray, who I'm just complaining about, they hit him. They think that they're going to all go to jail. Okay, possibly. Sure. That is, maybe, and there's some scenario where you're going to get in a lot of trouble for that. That is possible. Um, Truly seemed like an accident. Whatever. Whatever. Ray says it's manslaughter. Well, let me try that again. Ray says it's manslaughter. No matter who takes the fall, we are gonna fry. And I was watching this and I was like, one, I don't know if anyone has ever fried after being convicted of manslaughter.
No, I don't believe that is legally
Possible
legally
anywhere,
the law
ever.
anywhere. Legally the law.
Okay, legally in the law, right? But I was like, you know what? It's the South. Like, I should check. And it's the 90s. Maybe things have changed. I mean, manslaughter means that you killed someone, but it was accidental. So you may have had some degree of fault based on your actions. Maybe, you were speeding or something, right? Like that could be, I don't know. I don't know exactly where the gray area is.
Post this, no matter who takes the fall, we're going to fry thing. I think they could have been convicted of murder because then they go dump the body, but it turns out he's alive and they still kill him. So
very true.
But they don't know that
true.
yet. Continue.
Very true. Okay, so this was set in North Carolina in 1996. I just looked it up and it was very easy to find this information. Of course, now we have everything on the internet. But in 1996, when this crime takes place, North Carolina did have the death penalty. They still do, actually. However, in 1996, this isn't really neither here nor there, but one, they did not use an electric chair, so they weren't going to fry. What they were going to do is die by lethal injection. Okay, not as good of a line. Either way, the only capital offense in North Carolina is listed as first-degree murder. This means premeditated. We planned it out. We went, we killed someone, we meant to do it, and we executed it. That is the only way that you are getting on death row in North Carolina. So either way, they weren't going to fry, no matter which way you spin it. So this was something where I know times have changed, and it is a lot easier to Google something. And this is just a silly little 90s slasher. But this is where I put my foot down, where I'm like, we did not have one lawyer we could call. Or are they just trying to illustrate that they're just really dumb? But that is what doesn't make sense to me, because why did Ray say this? Ray is supposed to be the scholarship smart kid. He's supposed to be like the voice of reason. Why was this not Barry who's saying it? This would have made more sense coming from Barry.
Plus, Barry was a drama queen.
He was. He was all just like, he had no moral compass, no moral gray area. He was just like, we could get in trouble for this. Like, we're not going to do that. I'm not risking getting in trouble. We're just going to dump him in the water.
He didn't want to risk not being rich anymore. It was
that was it. Having to do community service. He seems like that kind of guy where he's like, that's not even worth it for me. Like, he probably wouldn't have even pulled over. He would have been one of those people if he was alone. Like, if he was driving and that happened, you would just be like, doop, doop, oops, hit a deer. Anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Go home, clean off my car.
Barry would have been not concerned in the least.
No. So Ray is a small step up, but overall, I'm complaining about Ray, and I probably won't stop. What else do we have to say about this movie?
I want to talk about the scene where Jennifer Love Hewitt opens the trunk of her car and it is full of crabs, live crabs, and Max's dead body. Right. And then she leaves for like 5 minutes and she comes back and nothing is in the trunk.
Okay. Yes. I am glad you brought this up because I actually don't understand, and then I don't think that they then explain it ever from what I watched. Right? Like, what are we supposed to believe?
There is no explanation.
Was she...
Like, was it a hallucination? Is this a supernatural movie now? Like, what is happening?
Did he have, like, a really big vacuum? He was lurking in the bushes. Then they opened the trunk. Because, also, like that would have been cool. That would have been a messed up thing to really be there. Like, they all come, and then just, like, these little crabbies. But... yeah, that is a really good point. Is there any other there's really not like a paranormal arc at
No,
all.
except that the killer survived somehow being hit by a car and then being drowned when he was very injured.
Right.
But,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I believe
We're
that. But
fine
the
with that. We're
trunk
fine with
was,
that.
yeah, that was
I think
wild.
and I think that could have made for a more interesting middle if then they had to decide what to do with another dead body. Because say he was trying to frame them using Max, which we don't know like any other reason really why he killed Max. Max is just the person who stopped and noticed that they were pulled over by the side of the road. He's just
Yeah.
kind of another kid at school.
But I don't think it could have been that because I'm pretty sure they already knew Max was dead, aka Max's body had been discovered by somebody else at this point. It
Oh,
wasn't that
okay.
Max was missing. They knew Max was dead.
Oh, yeah. All right.
So she must be hallucinating. It was just as random as the scene that comes immediately after that, where she shouts to the sky.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So that's weird. It's almost like they're trying to set her up as an unreliable narrator, but only in one single scene.
I think you're giving them too much credit. I think somebody was like, you know what would be cool
Was
if
this
we put
another
a bunch of
contest?
crabs? Yeah, right?
This would make actually the most sense
Yeah.
for this being the contest winner, and the kids like just have all the crabs and this guy in the trunk, and then make them disappear. And the director will be like, "That doesn't actually make sense for the continuity of the story," and he's like, "Just do it."
Nobody cared about that. Nobody
Oh,
cared.
wow, the kid was more on track with the plot than
Yes.
than whoever else wrote in that part. Well, okay, so why do you think Max was killed? What are your theories on that? Are we like just at the point where like we're giving this movie too much thought and we can't explain it?
Yes, that is 100% where
That's our
I'm at.
conclusion.
I respect that there are other theories about that. Like you've said, the killer was messing with them. He was related. I don't
Yeah.
know. I think they
Uh,
were like, this is a slasher and somebody has to die at the beginning. It can't be one of our main characters.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Did I write down the fan theory that was kind of interesting, but again, probably giving this movie a little bit too much credit. I don't remember if I wrote it down. Okay, yeah. Went to
Yes, you
Reddit.
did.
Okay, is that what you said that they basically thought
No, I didn't say that.
okay. So I'm trying to remember. Let me just pause for a second to think of how they put it. I think the explanation that they came up with was that the scene at the beginning, I don't remember if it was just Barry or more like Max is talking to one of them, kind of being like he somehow is connecting them to that scene. And the idea is that, again, like in true Rusty Nail Joyride fashion, the killer is just always there. He's just like,
Hmm.
what's the word? Omniscient, like narrator. He just knows
Yeah.
exactly what everyone's thinking and where they are and what they're doing. So the theory is that which is how he kind of acts throughout this movie, but he is listening to this conversation, so he knows that Max is aware of the connection between the two. So Max, in
Hmm.
some world, could be a loose end, I guess is basically what they're saying. Where that if all these kids drop dead, then Max potentially could tie them back to that night and that body that
Nope,
was
there's no
discovered.
way. There's no way that they put that much thought into this.
I don't think so either.
No.
So let's wrap up on the movie talking about why do we think this movie is so it's got its hooks in us pop culture wise. Got at least one hook in us.
The cast
Yeah.
is phenomenal. It is like I want to call it memeable, which was
Yeah.
obviously not a thing in 1997, but whatever equivalent we had, it is quotable, it is
Yeah.
goofy, it is referenceable in very easy ways.
That's true. That's true. I also think slashers can get a pass in a lot of ways. Like if you just want to watch a slasher, you know it's not going to be super dark, super disturbing. It might be kind of gory, but it's probably going to be silly. It's likely going to have a final girl or final
Hmm.
couple. It'll have some sort of resolution. Like you're not going in being like, this is going to be like a psychological like torture for me, or am I going to be able to handle
Yeah.
this, or where is this
Yeah.
going? So there is that predictability. And then I also think that this movie capitalized on what other movies did before, like Halloween and Friday the 13th, where it is on the 4th of July. It's in a fun coastal North
Hmm.
Carolina town. It is bridging like between high school and college. So it has a lot of these kind of touch points for things where like, oh, I just want to watch like a 4th of July horror movie, or I want to watch a high school horror movie or a college horror movie, and it just comes to mind. And then you add on the fact that every single person on Earth who kind of was a teenager or older watching this had a crush on
Hmm.
one of the people in this movie,
Oh, for
or more,
sure.
one
Yeah.
or more, one or all of them. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So, yeah,
And
I think
I
it's
believe this
fun.
is where Sarah Michelle Gellar and Freddie Prinze Jr. met.
Yes, yes,
They didn't start
I
dating
read that
right
too.
away. They like
No.
reconnected years later, but
I always
that's a
think
sweet part of
that's
it.
really interesting and kind of fun when they're not, it's not a couple. It's not like they were like discovered they're dating on film and then discover they have chemistry. They were not.
No, they
They
were
were not the couple.
friends.
Yeah, yeah. It
They're
was kind of
cute. I
cute.
like them.
Yeah. Yeah, they have they're still together, right?
Oh yeah,
It's
absolutely.
incredible. That is
I
incredibly
know.
rare in Hollywood and
I love
I think
it.
probably real life.
Yes, true.
It's great.
True.
Any final thoughts?
No, we'll leave it on that positive note. I will gripe no more.
Yeah. The only other thing I forgot to talk about that we did both mention is the fact that we are dragged through this whole story. We find out the killer is has a good motive, but you know, I guess he's a bad guy. He's a bad guy because he is trying to kill them all off. So the conclusion of this movie is that basically that we are morally absolved from manslaughter or accidentally killing someone, whatever they were all feeling, because he's a bad guy too.
Thank you for bringing this up. This would have been my final gripe. Um, it killed me. It killed me when they did that because there could have been this like layer, this depth
Yeah.
to this movie where the main characters were morally gray. Like
Yeah.
Barry, not so much. Barry
Right.
straight up murdered or thought he murdered that guy. The rest of them, like, I think you could still sympathize in some ways while still being like they're not great people. And then
Right.
in the end, it turns out A, that they didn't actually kill anyone, and B, that the kid that this guy they thought they killed was a bad guy. Like, it's so
I know.
boring.
I know. Trigger warning for Sarah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the concept of the movie is good. I think the killer was interesting enough, even though kind of clearly based on urban legend. But then I think the person that they picked to be the killer didn't really make sense, and they tried so hard to make it make sense, and then it just kind of
Yes.
messed up any of the characters having any sort of meaningful arc. Like their arc is
Hmm.
basically that morality doesn't exist, which
Yeah.
is the opposite of growth. They're just like, actually, we're fine. And this does happen in movies quite frequently where we are absolved of the guilt for them, basically, which is
It's
just like, it doesn't,
lazy.
yeah, it is. And it just also just isn't, to me, right. It's just not right.
And then, like, okay, so Jennifer Love Hewitt goes through her first year at college, completely depressed, stringy bangs and all, because she thought she'd killed someone. And then we catch up with her a year later at college, and she is like the happiest, go luckiest person
Mhm.
in the world. After having survived this trauma, and
Yeah,
her best friend was killed, and these other people
right.
were killed, but she's
Yeah.
fine, and she's just talking dirty on the phone with her boyfriend now. Like,
Washing her bangs.
well, thank God.
Also, yeah, like that really struck me too as a ending, because you went through all of this trauma and then you are just gonna have like no paranoia, just be like the most relaxed, carefree person, not even paying attention. She's not even like, let alone hyper vigilant. She's not even vigilant.
No, no.
And I don't remember, there is a sequel and she's in it. I don't remember it. I've definitely seen it. But I'm really curious to see like what they probably just say something at the beginning like, oh, and she was attacked and then ran away or something. You know, like how they explain that last like, oh, she's being
Oh
attacked, but we don't
yeah.
know if she
Uh-huh.
lives or
Uh-huh.
dies or whatever.
Which I do appreciate an ending like that.
Yeah,
As
that's
in like the
fine.
last 3 seconds, I appreciate it.
Yeah, yeah. The
But
setup made no
yes,
sense. I don't. It was
the
just a
the
lot of plot holes.
morality,
A
I
lot of plot
didn't.
holes, a lot of characterizations that didn't make sense, and hence
Yeah,
the 40% rating. And you know what? I probably will
spot
watch this
on.
again more than once in my life,
And
so
we're
whatever.
literally gonna buy tickets to see the new one on
Yes,
opening weekend.
yes, yes,
So I'll be
exactly. So
really
here we
curious
are.
to see if they solve some of these problems. I can't wait. We'll come back to it.
I am super curious too to see one if it's just a regurgitation of the same story,
Hmm.
just kind of with like updated older like a younger cast, and then the legacy characters are just there farting around, or if they are going to try to make a storyline that is a little more interesting
I
and makes
can't
sense.
wait.
We'll
Genuinely.
see. All right, I have a game for you.
Can't wait.
This game is called Who Said It? You know, I love coming up with creative,
No,
catchy
we're gonna
names.
call it I Know Who Said It Last Summer. There you go.
Whoa! Girl, girl. Let me just say, my creativity is very unique, and then I can come up with these games and concepts, and then a title. I'm just like, who said it? This is a game about who said it. But you just came up with a great one. That
Thank
is
you.
amazing. So
Great.
basically, this game came from the issue that I have had my whole life, ever since being aware that these two women existed. Sarah Michelle Gellar and Jennifer Love Hewitt, 90s icons, both have three names. I could not keep them straight in my
Mm,
head. Now I think I'm like kind of can, now that I'm an adult. But back then, they were just interchangeable for me. I would hear the three names, blah, 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 and I would have
interesting.
no idea which one was which.
Okay.
So I'm going to read you a line from different movies and shows that they've been in, and your job is going to be to either know or guess which one of them said it. Okay?
Great. I love it. Wait. So this is from anything they've been in.
Yes.
It's not
Kind
just
of. I
this
mean, I kept
movie.
it on brand.
Okay, on brand, but
I
it's not all this movie.
Not all this movie,
Okay.
and have you seen them all? I don't think so. This
This will
game is
be
not
fun.
fair.
Okay, great.
So it's much like the movie. It doesn't make much sense and it's not really fair. So here we go. Okay, first line.
Perfect.
Let's see how you do. First line is, I am so over this damsel in distress nonsense. Is that Sarah Michelle Gellar or Jennifer Love Hewitt?
I'm giving it to Sarah Michelle.
You got it. That is her playing Daphne in the 2002 classic, soon to be covered on the podcast movie, Scooby-Doo.
Love it. Love it.
Okay, this is going to be a hard one to deliver, so give me a moment. You're
I believe in you.
going to go and you're going to fall for some head-shaven, black-wearing, tattoo-covered, body-piercing philosophy student.
Jennifer Love Hewitt?
Yeah, in the movie that we just talked about. I
Wow.
don't remember her saying that at all.
Who did she say that to?
Ray. I don't know. They must have been talking about going off to college. I don't remember
Head
it.
shaven?
I don't know. I don't remember the context. I don't remember it being
Dying.
said. I don't know. I don't know. That was Julie. Yeah, that was Jennifer Love
Oh,
Hewitt. And
did
I know
she
what you
say
did
that
last
to
summer.
Max when Max tried to ask her
Oh,
out?
maybe.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And she's trying to make him feel better. And she's like, I'm
Yeah.
too basic for you. You're going to get someone more
Yeah.
interesting.
You're gonna
Yeah.
get someone who doesn't even have bangs.
Yeah.
Oh,
Seriously,
man.
her bangs in this movie are like what I'm afraid my bangs look like on any given day. So
They
why I
don't.
own dry
You're good.
shampoo.
Yeah. Fair enough. You're doing the right thing. Okay, next line. You're not dead. As a matter of fact, nobody ever dies. You want to know why? Because you're gonna live inside everybody who ever knew you, everyone you ever touched, no matter how little. Oh, oh, it was me. I don't even remember looking these up, but that's kind of sweet and weird.
Jennifer Love Hewitt.
Yeah, so that was
Ghost
her playing,
Whisperer?
yes, Melinda Gordon. I know
I've
that
never seen a second of that
I
show.
knew it, but I felt like I tried to pick lines that would be kind of in,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
in obvious, not just like she said hello. Hello there. Who was it, Sarah? But good job, you're nailing it.
Thank you.
Okay. Next line. We should have a plan. Angela Lansbury always had a plan.
Jennifer Love Hewitt.
This was Sarah Michelle Gellar, also in I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Really?
Helen. I don't remember her saying that. And she's
How do you not remember?
She's referencing a show that's arguably my favorite show of all time.
That's amazing.
Well,
But I
it's
don't
a really
remember
good
that at
line.
all.
I don't remember it either. Good line. Okay, last one. You definitely haven't seen this movie, so apologies.
Okay.
Drink with your brain. That's our motto.
It sounds like Sarah Michelle Gellar would have said it.
Yeah. That is her playing Cece Cooper in Scream 2, which we also, I think, will be covering soon.
Okay,
Something
great.
to look forward to.
I didn't know she was in any of the Scream movies. This is exciting
She
news to
is.
me.
She is a sorority sister, if you can't tell from that line. Drink with your brain. That's our motto.
See, like that's a dead giveaway. It's Sarah Michelle Gellar. Jennifer Love Hewitt is not a sorority girl.
No, she would have been like, drink with your brain. That's what they tell me to say.
Well, that was an excellent Jennifer Love Hewitt.
She's angsty. She's not a regular girl. She's a surly girl. She's sultry.
Yeah. Except when she's talking to Max, and then there's like way more interesting girls than her out there. Only so don't want you.
Yeah. She's letting him down gently. Okay, she's a nice girl.
It was the writing. It was not you, Jennifer Love Hewitt. We know.
We love her. We love her.
You're amazing.
Okay. That's it. That's all we have for today's comfort horror recap. Sweet dreams, homebodies.
And now it's time for your bedtime story.
But wait. Before we head on to today's ghostly tale, we want to take a second to let you know there are a couple of ways you can support our little haunted podcast.
If you've been enjoying the show, there are a couple ways you can help.
First, you can follow us on social media. We're hanging out most often over on Instagram, but you can also find some of the similar content on TikTok. Hit like, subscribe, send us a message. We'd love to chat with you there.
The second way you can support us is on our Buy Me a Coffee page, where you can pledge any amount of money to help us keep this little show going strong.
Last up, I'm talking like this. Leave us a review on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you listen. If you screenshot it, send it to us, share it on your stories, anything. We are going to shout you out personally, and also we just will love you forever. So anything that you can do to support us is greatly appreciated.
It would really make our day. And all of the links for all the things we just talked about can be found in the show notes of our episodes.
And now let's get paranormal. Today we are keeping the creepy coastal North Carolina themes going, and I am going to tell you all about the haunted history of the Cape Hatteras Lighthouse.
You've really built this one up. I cannot wait to hear it.
I really have. In full disclosure, I don't even know if I'm saying the name right, despite having done hours of research for today's episode. Cape Hatteras. I'm going to just go with that, and we will hope for the best. Sarah, please Google the Cape Hatteras Lighthouse, because I want you to see the Tim Burton vibes that it is serving.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Interesting, right?
That could live right next door to the Beetlejuice house.
Right? The black and white stripes. It's like an interesting kind of barbershop looking, those little spinny things outside the barbershop.
It is. Spot on.
It's interesting, and she's pretty cute, but she's a little spooky, gotta say it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, first I want to apparently tell you a little bit of the history of the lighthouse, because I wasn't sure how long lighthouses have been around. And
like all lighthouses. Sorry.
Yes.
Love it.
We're doing a brief lighthouse history segment. Because I was like, you know what? They're probably a modern invention, and, we just didn't know, and blah, blah, blah. Nope. They have been around since 280 BC. That is the first
Whoa.
recorded lighthouse, which was in Egypt's Pharos of Alexandria. And it was not only the first lighthouse, it was also the tallest ever recorded, including like today. It was
Cool.
a whopping 450 feet high.
Those
That
Egyptians were
is
pretty cool.
right. Like, what in the
Yeah.
alien world were they up to back then? I don't know what was going on, but it was
Really
incredible.
impressive engineering and probably some slaves.
Well, yeah, that is the sad truth. I'm like, alien engineers. That's how my little la-di-da brain goes.
It's a better place.
I do want to reference that the tallest traditional lighthouse that's standing today is, I said I don't know how to say Cape Hatteras. I definitely don't know how to say this one. It's French. Les Verges Lighthouse. It's a French lighthouse, and it is 273 feet tall. So it is a lot smaller. A lot smaller.
It is.
From their inception, lighthouses have served as a navigational aid, so they're basically a way for ships to know when a dangerous bit of coastline is getting close, so they're meant to prevent shipwrecks. They're also a stationary landmark, so when you're on a ship and you're just floating around in the ocean, it allows them to measure kind of how far they are from the coast. So this can be really important, as you can imagine, for navigation, but also at times when you can't see. So you can't see that well, it's stormy, it's nighttime. Lighthouses provide that visual cue that helps you not crash your ship, which is very important. So according to the National Park Service, the Cape Hatteras Lighthouse was built to protect one of the most dangerous sections of coastline in the United States.
Ooh.
Yeah, so this is located in Buxton, North Carolina, in an area known as the Outer Banks. So, to help orient listeners who may not be as familiar with the United States, the Outer Banks is a series of thin islands that outlines the North Carolina coast, and that is a state in the southeastern portion of the U.S. It's also a popular Netflix TV show that I have not seen.
Same.
I think I tried
Although-
watching a couple episodes and was like, I am too old now.
Wait, I was just going to say something really stupid, but now I have to say it. I was going to say, like, isn't there somebody from Outer Banks in the new I Know What You Did Last Summer? And then I realized I had no basis for saying that outside of being like, there's new young celebrities I don't know
Yeah.
the names of in the TV show and the movie.
That could 100% be true, and also you just made that up. We don't know.
Yeah.
We could find out in 2 seconds, though.
It's
But
weird that my brain hallucinated that. Whether
I mean,
it's
it
true or
could be
not.
true. My brain works the same way, where I'll just like say a fact. I'll put that in quotes, and then I'll be like, I have to tell you, I have no idea if that's true or not. My brain,
Yeah,
just, like,
I'm
says these
concerned.
things, and we have no idea if it's true or not. Anyway, back to the Outer Banks region. This is very dangerous because there are 2 different currents in the Atlantic Ocean that converge right here. So basically there's these like 2 forces coming in, and it's pushing all of the ships right into this really rocky coastal area. And
Okay.
right along there's also a 12-mile long sandbar called the Diamond Shoals. So a lot of ships are just like getting straight up beached and stuck here.
Yeah.
And did historically. So Diamond Shoals, it's like, sounds kind of beautiful, right? A little sparkly, a little
Sounds
nice.
gorgeous.
It's not. Well, maybe it's pretty, but it's bad. It's bad for ships. It was very bad. Record keeping, as we know, back in the day, not great, not super accurate, not always very thorough. And then, we've lost a lot of records over time. So we don't know exactly how many ships in this area were shipwrecked. But it is estimated that between the years of 1866 and 1945, there's somewhere between 200 and possibly 2,000 shipwrecks in this area.
Wow.
Yeah, huge range. But either way, it is a lot of shipwrecks. This area was like bad. bad, okay? So bad that it got the nickname the Graveyard of the Atlantic.
Oh, I mean, it seems appropriate.
Yeah, it's good. So obviously this place was destined to be haunted. Like, there was no way that a lighthouse was going to pop up here and people were just going to be like, it's fine, it's not scary. Just
Yeah.
a lot went down. But before we dive into the paranormal stuff, I need to give you more history of this lighthouse because I personally found it interesting. I love the history. I think it makes the paranormal stuff actually interesting.
Yeah.
If you don't, skip forward a few minutes. So, what we've talked about already, it's very clear that in this area we needed a lighthouse, right? We needed something to help alert ships that like go away.
Yes.
Don't come any closer. You're going to get shipwrecked here. And pretty much early, very, very early on in American history, that was recognized and it was approved to have this lighthouse built here. So the first lighthouse was approved to be built in 1794. Construction, however, because apparently in 1794 there was red tape already. It's not literally, but it took 5 years to actually start building it. So I'm sure a lot more ships were being wrecked in that period. So we're at 1803 now. Okay. We finally have our first Cape Hatteras Lighthouse lit, and it was basically useless. Useless. Okay, they spent all this time, and it was a total fail. It was only about 90 feet tall. It was made of unpainted sandstone. This is brown. It
Classic.
Brown against the sandy shores of Diamond Shoals, but okay. And it just had a very rudimentary light fueled by whale oil. Now, whale oil was used for lights for a long time, but I mean, it was just this very dim, small light. So it was too short, too brown. The light was too dim. Like, no one could see it.
Yeah.
It did nothing. So the shipwrecks continued, and they just kind of, I guess, let it keep happening, and a taller lighthouse was not built until 1853. So, America, I don't know. This one, at least, was painted red, the next one they built, and it had a kind of fancy refractory light source. They did make some upgrades. They made it taller, they made it easier to see, and they put a brighter light in, and okay, that seemed good. But then, unfortunately, that lighthouse, within 10 years of being put up, was severely damaged. There was a little event going on in America during this point called the Civil War. And the Confederate soldiers actually ended up climbing up the lighthouse and, like, removing the light fixture. And I don't know what was going down.
Cool.
But they were like, we gotta mess up this lighthouse.
I feel like lighthouses are like one of those things that like get amnesty in wars because they would help everybody. But
I don't.
What do I know?
I'm not sure why the lighthouse was a target, but also, yeah, I don't know a whole lot about war. But they stole the light, and it was just in bad shape. So they had to build another lighthouse in 1870, and amazingly, I think, the lighthouse that is standing there today is the lighthouse that was built in 1870.
Wow.
Yeah, so it is the largest brick lighthouse in the United States and is also ranked the 18th largest traditional lighthouse. I don't really know what that means, but it's the largest traditional lighthouse in the world, standing at 210 feet tall.
Okay.
I think the traditional part is just like it looks like a lighthouse. It has that structural component, because I think there are also now just like a steel pole with a big light on it, like that kind of,
right.
Just like a literal light.
Because like a human didn't need to
lighthouse.
climb a bunch of stairs to get to the top to light something on fire. Yeah.
Pretty much. Okay. So as I said, this lighthouse is still standing, but as you can imagine, it has also been through it. So, beginning in the early 1900s, the Cape Hatteras Lighthouse was only a few hundred feet from the shore due to coastal erosion. And despite efforts by the National Park Service and the Civilian Conservation Corps, by the 1990s, the lighthouse was less than 50 feet from the shoreline.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was like literally about to be swallowed up. But they were kind of hemming and hawing and being like, this thing is so old. They've done a lot of restoration efforts, but they're like, I don't think it will survive being moved. And they, are trying to maintain its history and integrity. But eventually in 1999, they had some sort of like research company who had been looking into it, and they released a report that was like, you have to move it now or it's a goner. Which seems like, do we really need a report? It's like, you can, like, throw a rock.
I have
into
eyeballs.
The water.
Yeah.
But you know, it was a tough decision. It was debated. They decided to move it. So they said they were going to try to move it, and they ended up doing it and doing it successfully. And it moved it back 1,500 feet, and that is where it is today. I mean, I don't know the exact distance because I'm sure coastal erosion is still a problem, but at least it was able to be moved, and it's still there. So yay.
Great.
Yay, National Park Service. So this poor little lighthouse has endured, well, one, just like watching all of these ships wreck, less so because of it. So go you, lighthouse. But it was literally built on a floating foundation due to technological limitations and the way that the land was when it was first built. It also went through World War II during its time of standing there. And it was used as a lookout for German U-boats by the Coast Guard.
Whoa.
It outlasted years of erosion. It outlasted being relocated. Like, this lighthouse is legit. It is hardy.
Yeah,
I know it's just a lighthouse, but I'm like, I respect you.
I was just gonna say I'm proud of it.
Right? Like, I have like feelings for this lighthouse that are like respect and love. I really, after learning so much about it, I was like, oh my gosh, this place is so cool.
Yeah.
After the lighthouse ownership was transferred to the National Park Service in 1936, the public has been allowed to visit Cape Hatteras and climb the grueling 257 steps to reach the viewing platform.
Woof.
That is, I think, like 12 stories-ish. I can't quite remember, but it's a lot. This option has kind of only been available off and on because of various, quote, safety concerns, including structural problems and, you know, them having to constantly restore this lighthouse to keep it going.
Yeah.
It's giving me a little bit of Final Destination energy. But it does seem that they are, like, pretty upfront of being like, oh, like, you can't come in, we have to fix this. So, you know, I feel like they're pretty on top of it, but still.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be like 100% at ease climbing up this lighthouse. So that's, I mean, not the full history. I breezed over some stuff, but those were the highlights of what I found interesting about the history. But we're here for the hauntings.
Here for the hauntings.
Let's do it. So we know that many ships were destroyed off the coastline, and that Cape Hatteras was kind of watching over this, and all of the people who worked and served at the lighthouse and continue to as part of the Coast Guard. So, yeah, it's really an interesting place. A lot has gone down, but there is one story that really could have been its whole standalone episode. I did not realize they were connected. But this is like the story. It's so interesting. So, have you ever heard of the Carol A. Deering ship, aka the Ghost Ship?
Sure.
I mean, it was not, I mean, I've heard of the concept of a ghost ship before. I've seen the cheesy early 2000s movie and traumatized me. I think it was the first movie I ever saw as a horror film, and it goes places. But I hadn't heard of this ship specifically. If you look up haunted ships, this will come up for sure, undoubtedly.
Okay. But this is not the ghost ship from the movie Ghost Ship.
I don't think that was based on reality, but I don't know.
Okay, then I've not heard of this.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know that this is like the ghost ship, but it's called a ghost ship because of what I'm about to tell you now. So, the Carol A. Deering was a fairly large 5-mast schooner. Is that how you say it? Schooner? This is like why I'm mostly a writer, also a little bit of a podcaster.
You're a writer, so not a talker.
How do words work? So this ship was 220 feet in length, and it was built in 1919 in Ship City, which is Bath, Maine, which is just down the street from where I live, pretty much.
Ship
And
City.
yeah, they build ships there literally all the time, like
Cute.
huge ships. And
I
this
love
was actually one of the last commercial ships to ever be built out of wood. There's a little ship trivia for you.
Oh, wow.
Just full of little ship facts for you. This story begins with a pretty typical commercial shipping journey. I don't really know what that's like, but let me just kind of paint you a picture here. The Deering, which I will refer to the ship as henceforth, left Barbados, and I don't know if it's henceforth or henceforth. I don't know.
Henceforth.
Hence as we go. Anyway, the Deering left Barbados after delivering some coal and was headed for Virginia. I don't know why. That just was the next stop on its way, and it was carrying its captain, W.B. Wormel, and his crew of 12 men. The Deering, spoiler alert, never made it to Virginia. On January 31st, 1921, the Carol A. Deering was spotted by the Coast Guard in Cape Hatteras, marooned in the Diamond Shoals. As you can imagine, this wasn't like a, oh my gosh, there's a ship stuck there. I think by this time that had slowed down, but it certainly was not like, how did this happen? You know, it's just a really dangerous spot. But at that time, specifically, they saw the ship and they couldn't get to it because there was actually a pretty severe storm happening.
Okay.
And the Coast Guard wasn't able to board the ship for 4 days. They were doing some surveillance. They were kind of getting like as close as they could, and they were, you know, looking and trying to see, like, is there anyone here? Like, does anyone need rescuing? Is there anything that we can do to help them? And all of the masts were set. So, you know, like that's, I guess, how, I don't really know how ships work, but that's like means it's, you know, just moving and going. Not like, oh, I'm about to crash into the shore. So all of the masts were set, but there was no distress flag. There was no one that they could see on the ship.
Oh.
Yeah. So when the Coast Guard was eventually able to board the ship on February 2nd, that doesn't make sense. On February, that's a typo. I'm like 4 days later, February 2nd. When the Coast Guard was finally able to board the ship on February 4th, 1921, they were shocked by what they found. They went on board, they searched the ship, and there was no one. Not a single person, not a body. The ship was empty. It looked like, obviously, like all the masts are up. Like, I don't know, it had just like driven itself into the shore.
Whoa.
So yeah, they were really confused by this. What added to the mystery, there were kind of layers to this mystery. So they're investigating this. The ship is, you know, really stuck in the Diamond Shoals, and it's beat up from the storm, but otherwise it looks like it was in great condition. Like it had been perfectly fine before it was got stuck there. I'm like trying to think of different ways to say that. Beached. And as they began looking around the ship and in the living quarters, there was like a full meal. There was soup, there was meat, there was a like pot of coffee. Like everything was like ready and waiting to be served. And it was like these people had just like snap your finger and disappeared. Like, you know, it wasn't like a frantic like, oh, there's the storm and batten down the hatches and put down the mast and I don't know, but you know, like all the things you see in like stormy ship
Like
movies.
some evidence of action. Yeah.
You're not like, let's sit down and have some soup
Yeah.
while we like deal with these crazy winds and rain. So that was strange. They went into the captain's quarters and it did look like maybe there was like a struggle there, like things were disheveled, it was messy. But otherwise, the ship was actually pretty empty, which was also very bizarre. So the lifeboats were gone, the anchors were gone, the personal belongings were gone for the most part. Documents, navigational tools, like there was just a lot missing, aside from, you know, the human beings. So really the only thing left was this prepared dinner and 3 kind of malnourished looking cats alive,
Oh, no,
but hungry. But they were
babies.
saved. They were saved.
Okay,
I don't know
all
what became
right.
of them, but yeah, they were just like there was at least, because this was so long ago, it was really hard to I'll put a disclaimer here to find like the facts of this story because
Sure.
one, it's weird. Two, the reports just vary widely. So say like
Yeah.
take a lot of this with a grain of salt. This is also like a partially paranormal story depending on the way you interpret it. So we are going to go into all of the theories, kind of ranging from probably what happened to like let's let our imaginations run wild with it.
As you said, we're here for the hauntings.
We're here to let our imaginations run wild.
Yes.
But also, it is very weird, and they never solved what happened. So do not expect to reach any form of conclusion, which I think is interesting, but also frustrating. So I will just also give that disclaimer here as well. So just as I'm sure your brain is kind of like going in many different directions right now, the newspapers just like went wild with this
Yeah.
in terms of speculating what happened to the crew. And just all these headlines and mutiny and pirates and yada, yada, yada. And they actually did investigate this pretty heavily. And the captain's wife even went, I think she went to like DC or wherever, however the country worked at this point. She went to the government and was like, I need like the FBI. Like I need them to find out like what happened to my husband. Maybe he's still out there. And the FBI got involved and they couldn't figure it out. So there was this huge search and it's just still a complete mystery. So let's start getting into some of the theories.
Okay.
After the Deering departed Barbados, a stop was made in Brazil. And while there, Captain Ormel confided in another captain friend. Kind of cute. They have like little captain hangouts at the bar in Rio de Janeiro. But he confided in a friend that he wasn't really comfortable with the way his crew was acting. And according to the source, he did say something that he was concerned about a possible mutiny. Now, I don't really know like how common mutinies were, like what was going on in the commercial shipping business in America in 1921, but that word was thrown out there. Just saying, he wasn't vibing with them at the very least. And there's, of course, more to the story and more that we do know. So before the January 31st, like this empty ship seemingly crashes into the North Carolina coast, the Carolee Deering was spotted at another North Carolina lighthouse. So they kind of like, it was like going along the coast and people were seeing it. And there were people on the boat. So like 2 days before this happened, at a place called Cape Lookout. This is another North Carolina light station.
Okay.
And it was noted by workers there that they saw a crew on the ship and the crew was acting strangely. I couldn't find a lot of detail as to like what they meant by that. But there was someone on the ship, and I really don't know how this works. Like, I don't know how far away they are. There was even one report where he had, like, what is that called? Where a megaphone, like some kind of megaphone to try to help them hear him. But they were yelling to the lookout people, being like, oh, we lost our anchors. And according to the record, the person yelling didn't, quote, look like an officer.
Oh.
Now, what does that mean? I don't know. I couldn't really find any elaboration on that. But then there was another report, I think at a different North Carolina lookout or lighthouse, that said that the ship was just like moving really erratically and it seemed like just weird things were happening on the ship. So I don't know if the person yelling like we lost our anchors was trying to just explain like, hey, we're cool, but this is like why we're kind of like serpentining around the coast willy-nilly.
Yeah.
But it was one of those things where if nothing had become of the ship, they probably like would have never thought about this again. But it's something in hindsight where they're like, people are like, that was sus. Like the ship, like something was going on there.
Yeah.
From their perspective. So mutiny, perhaps. But a lot of people didn't fully embrace this theory. Like, why would they commandeer a ship and then go right to like pretty close. It was like as if they were still heading towards Virginia. So it seems really weird to commandeer a ship and then be like, oh, the captain, yeah, he just like fell overboard. Like you wouldn't know. Like I don't think you would just go on to your destination and be like, whoopsie, or like not stop in North Carolina and be like they would just go somewhere else.
It's pretty bizarre, yeah.
Or like to then like the ship seemed fine, so what, they're just gonna like go to North Carolina and then abandon the ship that they stole? A little bit weird and like extremely poorly planned if that was the case. And that kind of applies to the suspected pirate attack.
Okay.
Those things did happen. I guess they still happen, right? Like that's still a thing. And then this suspicion of piracy was actually further fueled by a literal message in a bottle that had a list kind of like explaining, I'm doing quotes again on the video, what happened, including saying, during captured by oil burning boat. So everyone was like, oh, it was literally pirates. Someone wrote a message, was able to get this message out. This was actually later debunked as a hoax. Some guy wrote this message in a bottle, like put it out in the ocean, and then was like, hey, because he wanted to discredit the Cape Hatteras staff and get one of their jobs. That's what I read.
I love
Wild.
it. I love the energy.
Oh my gosh, wildin'. He was wildin'. So the most logical explanation, like if you were to ask like a science guy or someone who is like not playing for our team, what happened, they think happened is that the ship became marooned. We don't really know like what led up to that in terms of what was going on with the crew. If it was just a mistake, an error, it could happen. But they got marooned in the Diamond Shoals. And the weather was really bad, the waves were really big, and they kind of panicked and fled. They got on their lifeboats, they took what they could, and they just were like, oh, the shore's right there, we'll make it. And then, got kind of swept out to sea and just drowned in the storm. That is... I think there's still holes there, also just because we don't know what happened, but you could totally see some version of that happening. Pretty much any of the logical explanations come down to like people being really bad at their jobs, including piracy and like, committing mutiny, or even just like the captain being like making super bad calls. Because what they found when they finally got on the boat is like if they had just stayed there, like it would have been totally fine. Like the cat survived. Like it wasn't flooded. Waves weren't crashing over. Like they would have just been like wet and then been rescued 4 days later. Like it.
Like
I don't
a little
know.
sad.
Yeah. So it would have been I don't know, maybe just like an amateur decision to be like, oh, like we should just go. Like we might not be safe here. We'll probably could make it in our teeny little lifeboats in the big ones. I don't know. But that is, I would say, the top theory.
Okay.
Unfortunately, like, we have no idea, and we never will, more than likely, unless someone pops up and is like, hey, I'm Captain so-and-so. Probably people have said that, tried to claim that. People try to claim all sorts of things, but, really the only people or things that knew it happened are the little cats, and I don't know. We needed a cat psychic in there, but
I think cats are excellent secret keepers.
That's true. The cat was like, I'm not telling you, but it's crazy. All right, so we did all the logical stuff. Interesting, mystery, blah-de-blah-de. Let's talk about the paranormal theory, shall we?
Yes, please.
We have finally arrived after all this. So... to get to North Carolina from the Barbados, you have to pass through an area that you've probably heard about before in terms of disappearances and strange happenings.
Is it a place that Wednesday Addams is obsessed with?
Sure is. It is the Bermuda Triangle. So, that is a thing. Basically on its own, people are just like, oh, the Bermuda Triangle. Well, back then, like, people weren't saying, oh, the Bermuda Triangle. Like, ships were disappearing, and this was not the only, like, whole ships were disappearing, and they were just like, huh, How about that? But the Bermuda Triangle wasn't the Bermuda Triangle back then. It just was like ships were disappearing, and we don't know why. It didn't have the reputation and the lore that it does today.
Yeah.
But people looking back are like, well, that's really interesting. But then, the counter argument is like, okay, well, they got through the Bermuda Triangle. They were in North Carolina. There were people on the ship. Like, there weren't people on the shore, like, hallucinating people being on the ship. They were talking to them. Multiple people saw them. There were people on the ship after they had gone through the Bermuda Triangle and got to North Carolina. But here is what people will clap back and say, but what if, while they were going through the Bermuda Triangle, something else got on the boat with them? And that something else, what could it have been? A monster? A ghost? Some sort of dark energy? Something that perhaps would scare them to the point of abandoning their perfectly fine boat in the middle of dinner? And fleeing into a stormy water and just taking what they could and trying to take their navigational tools and hoping for the best?
Yes.
Maybe. Yeah, you're like, yeah, I'm in.
That's what it was.
Right? So, to add to the not so historical facts surrounding the story, but very, very creepy, in the 4 days between the Deering being marooned and allegedly empty and the Coast Guard boarding the ship, passerbys in the Cape Hatteras area said they could hear screams coming from the water. And when they looked out and tried to see who's screaming, who needs help, nobody would be there. They couldn't see anything. Someone even said that they heard a man yelling that a monster was coming for him. Yeah. And that is where we will end on the Carol A. Deering. But not the end of the story, Sarah. That is just the end of the Carol A. Deering. We're not done with the hauntings. I told you, girl.
Here
9
for
pages.
the haunting.
So that story is wild, right?
Yes, it is.
So interesting.
That's pretty spooky.
Such a great mystery. Rest in peace to those souls wherever they ended up. So sad, but I mean, that is kind of part of ocean life. Sadly, that was just like a big risk, and I really feel for that wife and the families of just like never having answers, and really intense.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the rest of the haunted happenings said to happen at the lighthouse itself. So that was kind of like attached to the lighthouse, but like things at the lighthouse specifically go on. So it's got a few ghosties, like a few regular ghosts that multiple people have said, and like a lot of them are super cute. So get excited about that.
Oh, I
Not
can't
all,
wait.
but some. So the first ghost I'm going to tell you about that haunts Cape Hatteras Lighthouse is known as Bob. So Bob, he wears a yellow rain slicker, and many have said to feel his presence. That was how it was described, that they just feel that Bob is around. Obviously, some people have seen Bob as well. I couldn't find out a lot more details about Bob and like what he does. He just seems like kind of like a fisherman type, just chilling, hanging around. But maybe because I can feel Bob's presence too, I was like, I feel like he's like kind of a cool guy. Like I feel like he's kind of lovely. And then I paused. Then I paused and I was like, I should try to find out more about Bob. Because what if I'm just like, Bob's awesome? And then other people who know the story are like, Bob is an ex-murderer.
Oh, no.
No, Bob is awesome. Okay. I found out that he's just like really lovely. People say that he is so lovely that it has been suspected, I don't know whether this is by like psychics or just like someone who had a really cute idea, that they think Bob is a human like manifestation of the soul of one of the cats that was rescued from the Carol A. Deering. I know. I knew
perfect.
It is so sweet. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. That is like the truth and what I will accept in my heart.
100%. Totally. That's it.
Right? So Bob is the cutest. Well, maybe not. He's on the podium, top 3 cutest ghost.
They get cuter?
Lighthouse. There's one that's cuter, potentially. You can decide later. It might actually, well, I just had a thing. I had a thing, but I'll come back to that thought in a minute.
Okay.
Let me tell you about the Gray Man of Hatteras. So it sounds kind of spooky. Yeah. Some people are freaked out by him. He just appears. He just looks like literally a gray man. So it doesn't look like a man, kind of looks like a ghost. So naturally, people are afraid of that.
Yeah.
But a lot of other people think he's a benevolent little helper because he appears when it's rainy, and they think that he's there to warn people of severe storms. So he appears up and he's like, this one's going to be bad. And then sometimes he has a little pet pelican with him. There's a little ghost pelican that like appears and disappears, and they think that they may be connected. So sweet. That is the Gray Man of Hatteras.
The Gray Man.
So a lot of cute characters kicking around, but also, of course, where there's the good, there's got to be the bad. So there have been instances of some darker entities lurking around as well. One woman, do you know what a banshee is? I'm not super familiar
generally
with. Right, yeah, it's just like a really scary spirit that tends to scream, like the bloody murder screaming type. So there's one of those. She's kicking around. She is dark woman, like dressed in black, just dark and looking like sopping wet, and just screams at people. So
I would
cute,
scream all the time if I was wet all the time.
Right? Yeah, wet,
awful.
cold. And there's, speculations that she was she on a boat and got, like, is she also trying to just warn people, or is she just like really bitter?
Yeah.
Drowned in the
Don't
ocean
blame her
or something.
Way. Yeah.
I know. I kind of feel for her.
Yeah.
And then there's just the classic like shadow figures kind of lurking about. So people have seen different shadow figures. That's kind of just a grab bag term for just it's not really a humanoid spirit per se. It's more of just like considered to be a dark entity that's trying to look human-like, but is just usually bad news. So they have been seen as kind of lurking around, and then also on the stairs.
Ew, no, that's creepy.
Yeah. Because the stairs going into the lighthouse are like those spiral, like you can't see behind you or in front of you. There's only one railing. It's just a little creepy.
I still
creepy.
Like any staircase can spook me. Like any staircase. I have none in my house. It's great.
Oh yeah, that's true. I didn't think about that. You don't even have a basement.
No basement. We do have an attic.
Okay.
It's more of a ladder situation though.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's a little creepy.
It's
so
more of I send Evan up to the attic. I don't go to the attic.
Yeah. So close to not having a creepy house. So close. Just a little touch. All right. So there's some creepy stuff, but I am going to bring you back to the cutest ghost of all, which now I have a new theory on. So here, this is going to be fun.
All
on
right.
the fly. I'm going to introduce you to the ghost cat.
Oh, it's an actual ghost cat.
It's an actual ghost cat.
You hear the delay in my voice?
Oh my gosh. Let me tell you about the ghost cat.
Okay.
So the ghost cat is black and white, which I think is really cute that the ghost cat matches the lighthouse. Color coordinated. The cat is said to be very friendly. It rubs on visitors' legs.
Oh.
It's also like fat. It's like a chunky cat. People estimate like between 15 and 25 pounds. So I don't know if also like does its weight fluctuate?
That's like also like a really big. That is from like a reasonable sized cat. That is a Rupert.
To like a big a big cat to like a
almost
morbidly obese cat. Right. So who knows? But people describe it consistently as like kind of a chonk. It's not like a little thin buffy kind of cat.
Yeah.
So the cat will like let you pet it, but then people will try to pick up the cat and then it poof disappears. So I was like, this is every cat's dream. This is every cat's dream, to be able to like get the attention you want, and then someone tries to grab you and you're like, I'm a ghost cat.
Bye.
See ya. I'm gonna go have more snacks. So
that's amazing.
Many people have seen the ghost cat, and the ghost cat sightings go back 100 years.
Whoa.
And it is speculated that the ghost cat is maybe one of the former lighthouse keeper's pet, but I just came up with a new theory that maybe it is also one of the rescued cats from the Carol A. Deering, and that it sometimes manifests itself as this chunky little cat. Maybe that it was after it was like malnourished and then someone rescued it and got it like nice and good and fat, and it just lazed about for the rest of its days. And then sometimes it comes back as another carnation of his soul as Bob the little yellow rain slicker, and it's just like having a great time haunting everybody and being lovely.
I love everything about this.
Maybe it's also a pelican.
I would really love to go to this lighthouse. Like, really
Right?
would be delighted. Of all of the places we've talked about on our various podcasts, this is
Right?
my top destination.
Oh, I need to see the ghost. I need to see them all. I want to meet them all. Even the banshee. I'll be like, you know what,
Yeah.
girl? Like, I feel you.
Sure.
I'm
Totally.
sorry.
Yeah.
So the good news is that most likely you can go visit. Well, you can kind of go around, but you may even be able to go inside and climb up the stairs. There's even usually a webcam where you can at least see the vantage point from the view tower remotely.
Oh,
All of this, unfortunately, is not currently available because she's getting another restoration done, which, we fully support. Hopefully she'll come through. But, allegedly this will be back in the future and you can go visit again. And I would love to go there. So we will be keeping an eye.
Can't
So
wait.
great.
Cannot wait.
That's it. That's all I got for you. Well, that was enough.
That was amazing. I also did need to circle back to my hallucination about the Outer Banks of North Carolina. I know you did last summer. Not a hallucination. There is a actress named Madeline Klein, who I now know exists, who is in Outer Banks and the new I Know You Did Last Summer.
Do you know what's weird is that, like, I think in my brain I had stored that too. Because when you said it, I was like, that feels right. And like, why do we know that? Neither of us watched The Outer Banks or anything else that she's ever been in. I don't even know what she looks like. Well,
Yeah.
we are cautiously optimistic about
Yes.
the reboot. Well, I wouldn't know if I'd say I'm optimistic. I am curious. I am cautiously curious and hoping that I enjoy it in some way, shape, or form.
Well, I guess I don't have to ask you what we're talking about next week.
Oh,
This is what we're talking about.
Wow, yeah. Yeah, it's so weird because we haven't gone to see it yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, we will by the next time we talk to you.
Yeah.
We'll have seen it and we will be having, I'm sure, many thoughts and opinions.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll see you there.
Yeah. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Haunted Homebodies. Make sure you like and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.
And remember, when in doubt, just stay home.